Hello, my marvelous mushies. All right, we are back for part 2 of this shadow session. Grab your notebooks, your grimoire, and follow along. My 11-year-old student said instead of calling people love bugs on my YouTube videos, I should call them marvelous mushies for mushrooms. And I love it because it makes me think of magic mushrooms. So you're welcome. Thank you. I love this term. Okay, so now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the shadow work. Okay, we've established the higher self, we've established the shadow self, we've established the sensations that come up for the higher self and the shadow self. We're going to continue focusing on the shadow, the part of yourself that's hidden. It's not bad, it's not negative, it's not evil, it is dark, it's hidden, it's unconscious. Okay, again, your pupils are dark, the womb space is dark, space is dark. We need darkness to sleep. There's a lot of positive things, there's a lot of safe things about darkness that can easily be misconstrued, because when we have darkness, we don't have the light, and our imagination can run wild and start to make up things in the darkness to scare us, because we have such an issue with the unknown. We can't stand the unknown. We have to have an explanation. Even if it's the wrong explanation, even if it's a fearful explanation, we have to have an explanation, because sometimes we just can't sit in the unknown. So when we get into the shadow world, we tend to make up a lot of stuff about how bad and scary and evil it is, because we don't know what it is. Okay? And I think that that is some useful information to sit with. Okay, but we're going to draw a Venn diagram with a little bit of modification with a circle. Okay, so draw a Venn diagram, 2 circles overlapping, and where the circles overlap, we're going to draw a circle in the middle of the overlap. Okay, there we go. If I turn it this way, you can see it. Ha! All right, this is what you're going to draw. Thank you. The reason we are drawing it this way is because it looks like a third eye. When I think of the third eye, I think of insight, hidden knowledge, spirituality, God. And that's what I'm trying to show you through this example. I'm trying to give you the most spiritual information that I can about your shadow self. Okay, you do not have to draw this or color it in. I'm just showing this is where I got this inspiration from. Okay? Okay, you do not need numbers for this. I'm just showing this to you so that you understand what we're doing. But I've written 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and 5. 5 being the circle in the middle. Okay, so we're going to have 5 steps to this lesson. Okay, again, you do not have to write those numbers down. I'm just showing you so that you understand. Let's start with number 1. Okay, so number 1 is going to be your shadow self. Your shadow self. Number 2 is going to be the sensation that you wrote in your shadow self bubble from the prequel lesson. So for me, I wrote shame. So that's going to go in bubble in circle number 2. The sensation that you experience from your shadow self when you recognize your shadow or when someone else calls your shadow out. So for me, I wrote shame. Okay? So we have the shadow self, and then we have shame. Okay? For you, it might be a different sensation. Next, we're going to investigate this third eye. Okay? Number 3 is what you learned from your shadow self. Number 4 is what you learned from the sensation. Okay? So, for me, what I got from my shadow self, what I learned from my shadow self was injustice. My shadow self reacted to this situation with anger and aggression, with a how dare you, because there's injustice being done. So what my shadow self was trying to teach me was there's injustice in the situation. Now let's focus on shame, the sensation. What was the shame sensation trying to teach me? It was teaching me I don't belong in this room. I don't belong in this room. I don't belong here. I'm sitting at the wrong table. I'm experiencing shame. I don't belong in this room. I'm being shamed. Now, a disclaimer. Sometimes when you feel shame, it is because you did something wrong. It is because there was something negative that you brought to the room. And just because you experience shame doesn't mean that you get to write it off and pretend like it doesn't apply to you, okay? But in this specific context of the lesson that I was doing, I did not appropriately need to be shamed for what was going on. I was not in the wrong in this specific situation, okay? So my shame sensation is teaching me I don't belong here. Something's wrong with my environment, okay? Not me, but the environment, okay? Sometimes it is going to be you. Sometimes there is something that is signaling to you, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm shameful, because it does apply to you, okay? But in this specific context, it does not. It's just a sensation that I was experiencing because I have a very interconnected relationship with shame because of the neglect and abuse that I went through. So shame tends to pop up when I don't need it to, okay? But as I'm learning to work with shame, I'm learning that shame is just teaching me something that I need to know, I need to recognize. And what it's teaching me here in this context is I don't belong in this room. I don't need to sit at this table. This environment is not good for me. Okay? Okay. And lastly, for number 5, the circle in the middle of the 2 Venn diagrams was humility. I'm being shown my shadow self is teaching me there's injustice in the situation. I'm not responsible for the shame. The shame is teaching me I don't belong in this room, so that I can get the higher lesson of humility. Now, how did I get there? How did I get there? I cheated because I know what processed shame is. Processed shame is humility. When we process our shame, it becomes humility. So I know that answer, so I know that was going in the middle of my bubble. You need to look up your sensation and what that becomes when it's processed. I don't think that this is something you can Google. I think it's something that you just have to ask, and then the answer will appear. The humility in this lesson keeps me safe because it keeps me from shaming myself, and it keeps me from acting out in my shadow, okay? Because humility is a higher self frequency. So this is how we're transmuting this energy into something else. I'm teaching you alchemy. Shadow work is alchemy. We're taking the information and the sensations from this experience, and we're putting so much pressure on it with our mind that it centralizes and becomes this very specific energy, this specific frequency, so that we can look at it for what it is and then use it how we need to use it. So for me, all my shadow self and my shame is teaching me humility. Humility for myself, humility when I interact with other people, humility when I do shadow work, humility when I experience shame. Humility is a really, really positive, safe, higher frequency lesson for me to engage in. Now for you, it might be different. Maybe it was anger, maybe it was sadness. That's going to teach you something different. And you can do this lesson 100 times and get 100 different answers because everybody's brain works differently. There are no right or wrong answers, okay? It's just what feels true for you, what is going to give you the most insight about yourself and your shadow and the lessons for life that you want to embody. Going over this one more time. Okay, so number 1 is your shadow. Number 2 is the sensation from that bubble person that we did in the prequel. Number 3 is what your shadow self is teaching you. Number 4 is what your sensation is teaching you. Number 5 is the core lesson when you put them all together. Okay? I would love to hear your answers. If you want to take a picture, send me a DM. I would love to know how you took this lesson. Again, thank you so much for watching. I love you, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.